John, great to see you, man. Last time I saw you was at the oh gosh, what was the party called again over the holidays? The
Oh, was it the
Schmooze Fest.
Unison Schmooze Fest?
Yeah, man. I know we're already in spring, but just curious, how was the party for you and how were the holidays?
Well, yeah, it feels like it's been a minute since I thought about the holidays, but they were great. I have three young kids,
Oh
so
wow.
all under the age of 11, so it's a busy time of year and very exciting for them. So that's always fun to get back in that spirit. And that party was great. That's one of those great annual things I try to get to every year because Unison Fund is such an important charity to us, to the band. We try to do a lot with them because it's a way to give back to our own community, our own
Yeah.
the people that work and the crew guys and the lighting techs and the guys that drive the trucks and the musicians themselves, the writers, the producers. A lot of these guys and gals don't have safety nets whatsoever. So Unison is a great safety net, for lack of a better word, for people in crisis. So I always try to give Unison a plug, and I try not to miss their parties.
Same here, man. I love it. For me, it's my it's my work party.
Yeah,
Because since
fair
I'm
enough.
independent, it's my work party. So getting a chance to see you and everybody else, I think is great. You've been busy, man, or I should say the band's been busy because not only will we be talking about new music and we're talking about touring too, but Vancouver, you guys were down there.
Yeah, we were. We didn't go for the Junos,
Yeah.
but we've been back there, several times in the last year or two. Did you see us out there?
No, I didn't see you guys out there, but I was reading up on something that said that you guys were out in Vancouver.
Yeah, yeah. No, we were there. We did a bunch of shows. We were there as recently as Grey Cup. That's what it was. That's probably what you're reading.
Ah,
It was Grey Cup Fest. So we were there in November, and it's always that's another fun. Speaking of annual traditions, we've done a bunch of Grey Cup stuff over the years. That's always a great time, and it's great the way they're building it out. So they sort of take over the whole town now, and they have all these venues and all these shows and all these celebrations, and all the different teams come. One thing I love about the CFL in general is like it's not just a party for the two winning teams or the two teams that are going to go on in the final. It's a party for the whole league. You get everybody coast to coast getting in the spirit of it. So I do like that.
now speaking of the Junos, though, some 41, calling it it's their last call.
Mhm.
Um, when you think about bands like themselves and yourself too, with the Trews, you guys have been around for a long time, man.
Yeah.
Um, when you see a band like Some 41 saying this is the end, do you
Mhm.
think about a little bit with the Trews, especially because you're a dad, and
Yeah.
it's not like when I first interviewed you guys where it was wild and free. Now you got so many responsibilities.
Yeah. I mean, life has changed a lot, in ways big and small. But we never thought of this thing as having a hard end date. As wild and free and careless and reckless as we were in our 20s and early 20s when we all started, doing this thing. Um, I never thought that uh, that was going to be what carried us. Like it wasn't going to be the sort of reckless abandon of it all. I think even back then we tried to keep our eye on the fact that if we continued to put on great shows and we continued to make songs that inspired us and make good records, that hopefully by the grace of God or whoever, we could carry on. And luckily we've been lucky enough to have fans that allow that. They allow that by coming to see us again and again. They allow that by uh, streaming and listening to the music, and then of course radio, which has come on board on our latest single in a huge way. Another great thing that allows us to carry on and have the profile that we do and play the shows that we do. So we don't take it for granted. I don't think about quitting. I really don't, because I feel like I don't want to let that visitor in the house, unless he take over. And I really love music. I love playing music, and I don't. I see it as going to be part of my life for the rest of my life, at whatever level I'm able to do it.
Is it time for you guys to start doing a documentary or writing books
Funny,
before
yeah.
somebody else jumps in on it?
Well, funny you should say that. We did we did a 20th anniversary tour last year,
Yeah.
2024. For our first album turned 20 in 2020, about 2003. is when it came out. So it turned 20 in 2023, and the tour happened the next year. We did a box set, we did a tour, and then we did a little mini documentary, which people can look up. It's on YouTube. It's called House of Ill Fame, the mini doc. It's only about 11 minutes long, but it kind of put our toe in that world where we hired a great director, a guy named John Sturge, came on board to do it. And he just told a very compelling story in 10 minutes about those early years of the band. And I just thought, this is what a great medium this is. We're learning the hard way that it's trial by fire, that it's very incredibly hard to get anything made. It's like a whole other world. It's different than making music, different than making records. You got to get funding and you got to get people on board. And so we're dipping our toe in it. And I hope to someday tell the story of the band over a 90-minute arc and hopefully make it interesting for people. Because I think it's a really good way to get into a band. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I've discovered music by watching the documentary, and I feel like it's like a great way to like get your story out there and reach new people. So interesting, you should ask. It is kind of in the works, but I can't even tell you how long it's going to take. It's not going to be anytime soon.
It's funny because I was at Our Lady Pieces show last year when they were performing in Toronto. Bedouin Sound Clash, they just did their show recently
Yep.
in Toronto. What is it about bands like them, yourselves, who have lasted and taken on the test of time when the music, the music has changed, the groups have changed, the way we listen to and absorb music has changed. You mentioned about radio. I mean, heck, just found out about two or three institutions that are closing their radio programs, which is, tough to get out there. How do you bands survive through all of these changes?
Well, I think of the three bands you mentioned, ourselves, Bedouin, who are about 20 years old, and then our OLP, who have a decade on that. All lucky enough to have come along at a time when the industry was a lot more organized. Like if you got yourself on the radio and had a big hit and much music played it, almost everybody who was paying attention to music would know who you were. And things can still happen in an instant. In fact, sometimes they can happen even faster now because of virality. You can be playing in your bedroom today and you could have 100 million streams tomorrow. Like that couldn't have happened when we were starting. That couldn't have happened. You had to put in the work. You had to do the showcases. You had to bend the label person's ear. You had to go on tour for, we did roughly 150 shows a year for our first 5 years as a band. And then slowly but surely momentum build. You got a break here, a break there. Radio picked it up. Much Music picked it up. You got a great opening slot on a tour. But it was like the path was sort of laid out. It was sort of clear to all bands, all the hurdles you had to jump over to get where you needed to go. Now it's just like a wide open landscape where I don't even know what advice to give young bands. I mean, I always try to say the best way to control your destiny is be a great live act, be an act people want to see, because that's where most of the business is anyway. And also, at least you can control that aspect. You can't really control if you're going to go viral. I mean, that's up to like the algorithmic gods. I mean, there's not even a label that can control that. You know what I mean? That's like, so in a way, it's very confusing. It's a wide open landscape, but in a way, like miracles can happen online too. It's just like it's a whole new game, and I feel like a whole new generation are playing that game. We just try to adapt as best we can. We keep all the social media platforms alive, and we do our thing. We're not native to it the way these kids are, but good things are still happening. There's still a lot of good music, and I think touring is still the bread and butter of the business. And, so I always say, try to control that part.
How much has placement helped too? Because didn't you guys have music in a new Crave television series?
The Trades. Yeah, the Trades used Tired of Waiting. I thought it was great. I watched the show and I thought it was great and happy to be in it. Again, any avenue of discovery is important. As much as we like to rest on we don't like to do it, but as much as you could rest on your laurels and say like, oh, we've had all this success, you still have to appreciate there's a lot of people there that don't know your first record. That was 20 years ago. A lot of people weren't even born that are now music fans. So it's nice that it's being used and the music continues to get pushed out.
Let's talk about that because you guys have a new single out. I always like to make this part official. What is the name of the new single? What is it about, and how does it represent the band today?
Oh, the band is called the Trews. You knew that. The single is called "The Breakdown." It's it, it's a pretty Colin mostly penned lyrics. My brother. Uh, it's a fairly exposed song. He's being very raw and honest in the words about I guess just about that about trying to keep it all together and at an age and stage when that's not always the easy thing. Um, and the song represents where the band is in 2025 in a pretty good way. I feel like a, one thing looking back on your past does is it really fires you up to want to now go forward and make even better work. I mean, that was our reaction to playing that first album all last year. Was like, okay, now let's forget the past. Let's be the Trews in 2025. Let's make the best batch of songs we could possibly make. We really did have to dig deep. We brought on a bunch of different people. In the end, it was Jay and Brett from the Glorious Sons, who I have a long relationship with, that came on board, and they were able to really sort of kick our butts and get us firing on all cylinders and trying to come up with the most vital music we could. For where we are today. And I really think that we got there. I mean, not to pat myself on the back too hard, but I feel like this batch of songs that we're sitting on, like the rest of which will come out, later this year. I just think that they have a certain sort of depth and honesty and emotionality that we had to work for, but we certainly, I think we got there.
This is probably one of the first songs where I found interesting. I'm glad you said what you said in the beginning because I found the music melodic, like, low tone and whatever, but the vocals, like
Yeah.
right out there. I've
Yeah.
never seen that contrast before.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Thank you. But I think that was sort of a bit on purpose. Like, I think with Colin, especially, he didn't want to hide behind anything too clever. I think he was ready to be raw and honest and really showcase his vocals because Colin is such a great singer. He really worries a lot and spends a lot of time about songwriting, because it's such it's a labor on I think any band that doesn't describe it as a labor is probably being dishonest. You got to work hard on songwriting. It's just the way it is. But he's such a naturally gifted singer. And I feel like that's another thing that Brett and Jay wanted to bring out. They wanted to sort of showcase the vocal. So it is pretty in your face.
Absolutely. Now, you guys, is there a mini tour going on right now, or what would you call it?
Well, we're going to do the summer, so we've played a couple of shows this year, but only a small handful.
Right.
So we're going to hit like about mid-May. Our sort of summer season fires up. So we have festivals in like Akita Bala and something down the Jackson Triggs thing that we usually do, and
Oh, cool.
yeah,
That's a great place.
yeah, it's amazing, and some great festivals out west that are announced or being announced soon. So the summer's filling up. It's like it's kind of a weekend warrior season for us, where we fly out on a Thursday and fly back on a Sunday and do a couple of shows somewhere, and then the album will drop fully in the fall, and then we'll ramp up for more of the big tour come like early next year.
Is Canada Day included in those shows?
Yep, yeah, we're doing a free show. That one's announced. Free show at Lions Park in Brantford, Ontario on Canada Day.
Fantastic, brother. I'm going to try to make it out to one of the shows.
Please
If
do.
not, I know I will run into you and the boys on some red carpet somewhere. And if any not, then at least I know I can look for you guys at the Schmooze Fest.
Oh, I'll see you at the
So,
Swiss Fest for sure. I like the look of your studio back there too. It
thanks, man.
looks amazing.
I do my best, brother. Look, thank you so much for doing the interview, and say hello to the guys for me, and all the best. And I'll say it 1,000 times. Thank you so much for letting me follow you guys in your careers.
Well, thanks for all the support, Rudy, over the years. It's always nice to see you and nice to be on your show. And I know you've been in our corner since day one, so that's always a great thing too.